Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're watching episode 2 of House of the Dragon. The first episode was very much just an introduction to Game of Thrones in House Targaryen. There were so many moving parts and there was nothing that was cut and dry. There wasn't like a king who had a son who was the heir, who then became king, who had a son who was then the heir. It was very much all the branches of the Targaryen house that were competing for this this title of heir of the king because there wasn't a cut and dry heir because the two sons of the king had been killed. So we have cousins. We have Rhaenyra and we have Viserys. And Rhaenyra ends up having a son, and Viserys ends up having a daughter. But Viserys, because he's a male, was named heir of the king. Now, his daughter, Rhaenyra, I think is fantastic. She reminds me of somebody. I think she reminds everybody of somebody. But she's feisty. She's headstrong. She wants to be a warrior. She doesn't want to have babies. She has kind of this thing, and it kind of stinks because I feel like she already had her life somewhat planned out for her because she was really hoping that her father would have a male heir because that would have not only brought her father happiness, but maybe he would have stopped being disappointed that she wasn't male. Now, after his son Balon is born, not only does his wife Emma die during childbirth, not really because of childbirth, but kind of because of childbirth, but also because she was cut in half. I mean, that'd do it. But also because Balon ends up passing away moments later. And so he still doesn't have a male heir. Kind of. He does have one in his brother Daemon, who is head of the City Watch, and he literally does eye for an eye justice and takes matters into his own hands. And it was a lot. It's just, I don't think it would have been bad, but it was because it was such a montage. It seemed like it could have been over the course of like hours or days, but no, there was a whole cart full of heads and bodies and arms and other appendages. It was a lot. He's very dark. Like he's very gruesome. He's very brutal. He's very rogue. He definitely doesn't get the sense of justice in the way that it needs to be served, like judge, jury, executioner. It's just get it done. Well, I kind of like Daemon in the sense that he doesn't follow the rules necessarily. I don't like the way he is kind of erratic in nature. When he shows up, he also gives his niece a necklace, and it's made of Valyrian steel, but like it was kind of a weird moment between the two. I don't really, I don't, I just feel like there's like so many like incestual moments, and I just don't like it. After the queen dies, the hand of the king Otto sends his daughter Alicent to comfort the king. Now, I don't know what happened, but she did seem to bring him comfort with words, and I think that that's fantastic. But I had a feeling that like it was almost like, hey, like go and comfort the king, maybe give him a male heir. Even though Rhaenyra was going to be named heir. After they decided Daemon is no good, he's actually celebrating that Balon died. He calls him heir for a day. And he says he's mourning in his own way. Yuck. That doesn't feel like mourning to me. Now, Otto hears this and he relays it to the king, and the king is pissed, which I completely understand. And he sends Daemon away. He sends him back to the Vale to be with his wife, but he also says, "You're also not going to be the heir. Peace out." I feel like he really wanted to have his brother there in some capacity, and he wanted to believe in him. But even Daemon asks, like, "Why did you never name me Hand of the King?" And it's really because either A, Daemon would go rogue, but he'd be in a higher seat of power. But also, I think he kind of knows that it's safer to not have Daemon as his counsel. It seems like Otto is kind of like a very even keel man, and he gives good advice, and he has the king's best interest at heart from what I've seen, but the rest of the people at the table, not so much. Now, the other contender to be heir would obviously be Rhaenys, because she was intended to be an heir. She was the queen that never was, and her husband Corlys very much would rather have her than the young Rhaenyra because they have a son. Now, in the end, he does name Rhaenyra his heir, which is fantastic, I think. Except it's probably the life that she never intended to have, and now she's kind of thrust into this position. Her father then tells her that there are kind of two rules to being a ruler of Westeros as a Targaryen, and one thing is that you can't control dragons. No matter what they think, you can't. I don't know if that's 100% true, but I feel like we saw dragons kind of, do whatever they wanted, and Daenerys had to lock them away. Was that Marine? Yeah. So I mean, that might be partially true. Yeah. He also tells her that Aegon Targaryen saw in a dream that there'd be a terrible winter that came, and the only way the realm would survive is if there was a Targaryen on the throne, which we kind of foresaw. I don't know if we ever really did see. As a matter of fact, we never did see a Targaryen on the throne. Spoiler alert. And then in the end, we see Daemon flying off back to the Vale, I think, with his dragon Caraxes, who is a nice looking dragon. I'm excited to get more of that for sure. So there's just like a lot of like moving pieces of players, like there was the Cole guy that like Rhaenyra like looked like she was interested in. We also had the king having that moment with Alicent. So there were a lot of ways that a new heir could be produced. I imagine that we're going to see a lot of that go down. I can't imagine that Rhaenyra is happy that Rhaenyra is the heir. I can't imagine that Daemon's happy about it either. And I see Odo trying to make a move, and I don't like it. But I'm interested to see how it plays out. So, guys, I'm not gonna waste any more time. I am gonna jump into this reaction. So let's get into it. Are we sure it's connected? It always says it's connected, and then it's not. It's not connected. What do you know?
Rhaenyra Targaryen, heir to the Iron Throne.
I hate that I'm excited for her and she's not excited. I'm excited for a girl, not a girl queen, but like I'm excited for a queen. Oh, look at this opening. I don't recognize some of these seals. I'm sure it's really important to know some of this. Okay. That's intense. With the blood pouring down. Okay. So fucking cool though. Oh, the crab guy. Yeah. The triarchy. Oh. Oh, it's still alive.
I want to know what is to be done about my ships and my men.
The Crown will compensate you for your ship and crew and make an offering to the men's family.
I don't want compensation.
That's not gonna fix it.
I want to seize the stepstones by force and burn out this crab feeder.
I am not prepared to start a war with the free cities.
These pirates are not the free cities.
You have dragon riders, father.
Oh. The young one speaks up. I like it. Future queen.
At least the princess has a plan.
I only meant that we should at least...
Perhaps there's some better use for the princess's talents, Your Grace.
Yeah, not witnessing court. Although I have to say I like Corlys.
Step forward, Sir Desmond.
You might thank him for his loyal service, Princess.
We thank you for your loyal service to the crown, sir.
Not like she was told how to do any of this. Oh. The queen that never was is looking at the queen that will be.
Do any of these knights have combat experience? Beyond capturing poachers.
Fair.
Sir Criston Cole.
Oh, that's the one you want to marry. You can't name him Kingsguard. You can't have him then.
I choose Sir Criston Cole.
Let's not be too hasty.
Maybe they could have had this discussion beforehand.
Well, let us plan Sir Criston's investiture then.
I was hoping that would be her man.
The glory of old Valyria will never be seen again.
It will take time. It did when I lost mine own mother. What if you went to her?
There are times when I would rather face the Black Dread himself than mine own daughter of 15. You do not mention our talks to Rhaenyra, do you? I fear that she wouldn't understand them.
No, Your Grace.
I don't know if that's true, but also she could be keeping it from her because of the situation.
Your father loves you. He chose you for his heir.
He didn't choose me, he spurned Daemon.
Fair. That has to be so hot.
I find this is a way to be with my mother. I feel close to her. I know it sounds foolish.
I don't think it's foolish.
Because I thought you might try.
It's a weird thing that she lost her mother and her brother and then got bestowed the honor of heir. How do you even grieve that and celebrate it at the same time?
When I wish to talk with him, I know that I must make the effort. Thank you.
She's a good friend to both of them, actually.
I wish to apologize for the tenor at the small council today, Your Grace. It was not my intent to make offense.
He was right, though.
To elude a storm, you can either sail into it or around it. But you must never await its coming.
I like Corlys a lot.
Join our families. Wed our daughter, Laena. Unite the two great surviving Valyrian houses. With the Targaryen dragons and the Valyrian fleet bound in blood, you can show the realm that the crown's strongest days are ahead.
Still trying to get their heir.
The realm expects you to take a new wife sooner or later, Grace. To strengthen your line and produce more heirs.
Yeah.
You could not ask for a stronger match than Laena.
Talk to her. Talk to him. Somebody say something.
I loved your mother. Very much.
As did I. Today at small council,
Paid no mind.
I thought I might have had some insight.
You're young.
But
You will learn.
That's not what she wanted to hear. Ew. 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 Oh, yeah. I forgot. No modern medicine.
The maggots will remove the dead
Like,
flesh
has
and
the throne
hopefully
been
stop the
poisoned or
advance of the rot.
something? Like, the stab wound in his back, his finger cut last time? Like, there, like, something malicious afoot?
He proposed a marriage. The Lady Laena.
Lord Corlys has overreached, Your Grace. Such matters must be discussed with a small council.
That is what I'm doing. Presently. So, what is your advice, dear Otto?
Marry my daughter.
A match with their daughter would go a long way towards sealing the breach. And uniting the two great Valyrian houses would certainly signal unity throughout the realm and beyond.
Yeah,
The Grand Maester's reasoning is sound.
very much so.
I dearly loved my own lady wife, and to be compelled to replace her for duty's sake.
Painful.
You are the king, but I do not envy you.
You don't get to marry for love. Oh my god. She's tiny. How old is she? Are you kidding me? Oh my god, I can't sometimes with this show. Child brides. Oh my gosh.
But Vhagar still lives. Somewhere. But too large for the dragon pit.
Some would say too large for our world.
Do you know where she nests?
They've lost their dragons. That's no good.
The workers at Spice Town report hearing her song at times. They say it is a sad thing.
I bet it is.
I imagine even dragons get lonely.
It would be a great honor to join our houses as they were in Old Valyria.
Oh my god.
I would give you many children of pure Valyrian blood so that we might strengthen the royal line and the realm.
Is that what your father told you to say?
Yep. What do you want?
What did your mother tell you?
That I wouldn't have to bed you until I turned 14.
How old is she? He can't even talk to his 15-year-old daughter, and he's supposed to bed this, like, 8-year-old? I know, not bed her, but you know what I mean.
It bothers you, does it not?
Wouldn't it bother you?
Lena is your daughter, Princess. Does it bother you?
Of course it does.
Does it?
But the men of the realm already had their opportunity to appoint a ruling queen at the Great Council, and they denied it.
They denied you, Princess Rhaenys. The queen who never was.
Yeah.
Here is the hard truth, which no one else has the heart to tell you. Men would sooner put the realm to the torch than see a woman ascend the Iron Throne. And your father is no fool.
I absolutely loved that interaction between those two women. Both were meant to be queens.
Seems the realm wants for a new queen.
A good and kind queen will give comfort to your subjects.
Is he gonna marry her?
The Lady Lena.
A very strong match, Your Grace.
I must admit,
No.
I don't know Lena very well.
Because she's a child.
I asked the stonemasons to mend it.
Okay, I really like her. She's a very sweet person.
Your Grace, I've called a small council to an emergency session.
Why?
I think it best you hear it directly.
Very well.
Uh-oh. Emergency session is never good. Is it with the crab guy?
Maso Junduna, Lodikio e Lot Upidas.
Skorkidoso Zedriso Droman Tomepsa Ulu.
Dragon's egg was stolen?
Daridoros Daimon Sikia Sida Seglivzeus.
Daemon.
Yep.
It is the pleasure of Daemon Targaryen, the Prince of Dragonstone and rightful heir to the Iron Throne, to announce that he is to take a second wife. Her Grace is with child, and is to have a dragon's egg placed in the babe's cradle. The Prince has invited you to his wedding, Your Grace. It
Yeah,
is
don't
in
go to
2
that.
days' time.
Oh, yeah, no.
Who is Lady Missaria?
We believe...
Daemon's Hall. This is nothing less than sedition.
I strongly agree, sire.
Daemon has seized Dragonstone, has surrounded himself with an army of gold cloaks, and has now stolen a dangerous weapon.
Skoriodromon, your apis.
Ooh, what did she just say?
Skoriodromon, Daemon Leitas.
Was it important which one he took?
Romonidrotso Iles Daridoros.
Dreamfire.
Daridoro Belo Matsumbile. Iderepte Enkono.
Daemon is without limit. Let me go to Dragonstone.
Oh, no, you're not gonna make it out. I mean, he took that egg, obviously, to get a reaction from Viserys and from Rhaenyra.
Please look after the hands, Sir Kristen.
Why do I feel like he's not coming home? But isn't Dragonstone quite a ways away from King's Landing? Unless they all flew on dragons, but I doubt it. So cool. It's exactly where I picture Daemon being.
And leave Dragonstone by order of His Grace King Viserys.
Where is the king? I don't see him.
His Grace would never lower himself to entertain such a mummer's farce.
Oof.
Sir Kristen Cole, my prince.
Ah, yes, apologies. I couldn't recall.
Perhaps my prince recalls when I knocked him off his horse.
I feel like you're gonna die too now, Kristen.
You've come for the egg. Here it is.
So I feel like it's a trap. Oh my god.
To choose violence here is to declare war against your king.
Wonderful.
Okay. cool fucking dragon. Is it his sister? Oh, you badass. I love her. I love her so much. Queen material right there. Targaryen women are just badass.
Take care not to startle Syrax, my lords. She's rather protective of me.
Mm-hmm.
Siculant.
Where's Hilari to be?
One day. I don't know, he seems like he can't perform well. Wiener. Oh my god, I love her. If I haven't said enough, I love her. Oh, I had a feeling she was gonna ride up on that dragon. Oh my god. Did you see a future queen there, or are you mad about it? I don't know. He seemed like he was having a really hard time performing, and I don't know if that's like still an issue and he can't father an heir.
What would they do with the commoner he claims he's taken to wife and made with child?
No one will harm you.
Sure.
You're safe with me, I swear it.
You are Targaryen. You can afford to play your stupid games with the king, but I cannot. I came to you to be liberated.
Liberated? From what?
Fear.
Mm. I like her too.
I have come looking for an unencumbered opinion.
That's all I would ever give, Your Grace.
I have felt Corlys Velarion's envious gaze staring at me from across the Blackwater.
Yep.
You sit upon the highest seat in the realm, Your Grace. Proud men don't like having to look up.
Yeah.
What's Miss like?
She is 12.
She will mature.
What if I was to reject Lord Corlys' proposal?
Yeah.
He would not be like to take it well.
Probably not.
You should wed Lena Velaryon, Your Grace. Sate Lord Corlys and fix him at your side, permanently as an ally.
Yuck.
You disobeyed me. You fled King's Landing without a word, and you acted without the crown's leave.
May I sit?
Calm, cool, and collected. I like it.
You went to Dragonstone.
And retrieve the egg without bloodshed. A feat I'm not sure Sir Otto could have accomplished alone.
Yes, well. Your mother's absence is a wound that will never heal.
It's got a couple of those.
It pleases me to hear you say this.
I could never replace your mother.
I'm glad he's saying this to her.
Mother would have understood this. Just as I do.
She's giving him permission. He wasn't really asking for it, but she is giving it to him. 12-year-old bride. It's the smartest, best move, which doesn't mean he's going to make it.
I have decided to take a new wife.
Oh, it's not going to be her, is it?
I intend to marry.
What?
The Lady Alicent Hightower. Before Spring's End.
Oh my. Oh, that's not good for that.
My house is Valerian, the greatest power in the realm.
Yeah, it's a mistake. I like the match better for sure, but it wasn't the smartest thing for all of this.
Rhaenyra.
Yeah. She'll be a lovely wife. Young, but lovely.
For centuries, my house had to scratch out an existence from the sea with grit and luck.
Is he talking to the crab guy?
I've always thought of you and I as having been made from the same cloth.
Are you fucking kidding me?
The Crab Feeder is backed by powerful entities within the Free Cities who wish to see Westeros weakened. And the King's failures have allowed him to accumulate strength. I will not have Driftmark beggared while our king idles himself with feasts and balls and tourneys.
I will speak of my brother as I wish. You will not.
Our worth is not given. It must be made.
Wow. So while I expected Alicent and Viserys to like bond and eventually maybe get to the point of marriage, I didn't expect it in this episode. Definitely they were like really pushing for him to get married, and I'm sure Corlys and Rhaenyra's daughter is wonderful, but she's 12. And he has these wounds all over his body. And I kept thinking, even if they waited till she came of age for him to try to have an heir, I don't know if he would even make it, because he has all these wounds, and they kind of make a point of like, the first episode is that there's an infection that wouldn't heal, and then now his finger. And then it just made me think that like, is somebody like poisoning points on the throne? Like, I don't know if that's how he got that first one or not, but it just like made me think that he definitely nicked his finger at the end of the last episode, and they're not healing. So it kind of makes me think that like something is afoot. It makes me think something is definitely being planned for the king to die sooner rather than later. Now, 100% loved Rhaenyra flying into Dragonstone to get the egg, Balon's egg. I definitely felt like when Caraxes came out that I was just like, God, it would be just amazing if she flew in and they both had a dragon on each side, and then you can hear Syrax coming. I wonder if I'm saying those names right. I don't know. I screw up names. By the end of this series, it will be locked. I promise. But I don't take notes because I want to pay attention. It really showed that she's able to stand up to Daemon, and that even though she might be afraid of like what could happen, is that she kind of knows that her dragon will defend her. And she also knows that Daemon kind of like, because he gave her the necklace, and so like they have like a weird bond, a mild bond, like it's still family to him. And he didn't seem to like hate her at all. I mean, he has reason to hate her. Obviously, she was named heir and he wasn't. Now they seem to like really be pushing for him to remarry like way sooner than later. And I thought, like it was really gross last episode to have Otto's daughter Alicent kind of pushed towards the king, but it's actually really wise because she is a very warm, tender, kind of loving, and like to both of them, to both Rhaenyra and Viserys. And it's funny because it is kind of somebody who could replace Emma, even though not in the way that Emma was in their lives, obviously, but she can still play that role. She was really good at giving Rhaenyra advice when they were in the Sept, and then she's really good at giving advice to Viserys about how to talk to his daughter, and brought them together. And I do think that like she would be good for him. Now the bad thing is that obviously Corlys isn't happy, and he's reached out to Daemon to try to, I don't know if it's to take over. It didn't seem like he was trying to say that. It was kind of like to establish Daemon as a strong leader and somebody who could contest to like be the heir of the throne. And Daemon's already kind of trying to do that, but I feel like having Corlys back him and fight these pirates, which the crab eating the bodies, and that is something. I actually wouldn't mind if Daemon beat them. I don't know their backstory. I don't know what their motivations are. I don't know why they're doing what they're doing. But I will say that is cruel and that is disgusting, and I don't like it. So Daemon needs to go stop the crabs from eating people. Yeah. But obviously the king not doing anything about what's going on at the ports is also showing that he's not strong. And Corlys even says he cares more about having balls and tourneys than he does about defending the ports. And I 100% agree. Like, he should do something about it. I don't know what the right thing is about it. Obviously, like, I'm not a king or a queen, so I can't make that call. But it would definitely be to do something. Establish a presence. I don't know if that would be to create fear, but like have people around that would kind of make these people think twice about taking Westerosi sailors and nailing them to posts so the crabs can feed off of them. That is something. Yeah. So I'm sure we're going to get more about that in the next episode. I would like to know more about those pirates. The Triarchy, I think is what they called it. Now with Daemon, like I kind of said a couple of different times, because it seemed like he wasn't really super comfortable in the whorehouse and he wasn't able to perform per se. So I don't even know if he can father children. And it sounds like who he'd like to have as his wife, Viserys, I think is her name. But, she comments that like she has made it to where she can't have children. And if she is a common whore, if she is a prostitute, that's probably for the best. But like he can't father a child with her. Even if they got married, it wouldn't mean that he would be named heir because he's unable to have an heir with his wife. And I don't know what his other wife looks like back in the Vale, but apparently he's not proud or happy to be with her. Obviously, when you're forced into a marriage, it's really hard to make those things happen. Totally get it. Like I said, I like Corlys. I like how he stands up to the king, and I like how he kind of like speaks as a king, and he doesn't necessarily want to go to war, but he does want something to happen. And I really like Corlys. I really like Rhaenyra as well. The conversation that she had with Rhaenyra just about like how her father is going to have to remarry, and like how like the men of Westeros would never let a woman heir actually take the throne. I agree. And I'm glad they had that conversation, because I hope it plants, a little thing in the back of Rhaenyra's head, is that it's not just cut and dry, all said and done, I'm the heir. There's definitely going to be some people that contest it. I don't know if Alicent is going to give an heir. I don't know if it's going to be a male heir. I do think that the king would be in good company to have her as a wife. Oh, but he even tells Rhaenyra, like, I don't plan on replacing you as heir. I don't think that he really wants to father another child, but he's being pushed to marry, so he might as well do it with somebody who he feels comfortable with and that he has a good relationship with, but maybe that he doesn't want to have a child with. It never felt like sexual tension. It felt like weird tension, but it never felt sexual, thankfully. Now, I thought if you were named the Kingsguard, Sir Cole Kristen? Now Crispin is stuck in my head. Daemon got Crispin stuck in my head. Sir Cole Kristen was named the Kingsguard, and yes, he has battle experience, but I feel like that conversation about all of the qualifications should have been discussed before they just brought someone forward and just had her stare at them and make a choice. Like, she made her choice. She made the best choice she had with the information that she was given, with the information she thought was important. I'm wondering what Sir Kristen is, what he's going to serve later on in the story, because I really thought that they were going to end up being a couple. Like, I really thought that like she was going to marry him eventually. I think that they would make a fine couple. I don't know anything about him, but he seems swell. And we haven't been introduced to any other, like there's not like a dating app. So like he's the only one we've swiped left on so far for Rhaenyra. I definitely think Viserys not accepting to be wed to Corlys and Rhaenyra's daughter is a huge mistake. Obviously, at the end, we see him, figuring out a way for Daemon to help him with the port problem and kind of establish that Daemon's a better leader than the king. I feel like Viserys created more enemies than he really can handle. Is he a good king? Meh. Could he be a great king? Yeah. Do I think Rhaenyra is going to do better? Absolutely. She just really has a nice steely resolve in the face of fear, or in the face of confrontation. between her aunt and her uncle. Or is it her aunt? Between her cousin and her uncle. Ice cold. I loved it. It reminded me of Daenerys a little bit. And I really like that. That's what I love really about these Targaryen women, is that even Rhaenys is like steely as well. Like she doesn't really show a lot of emotion, and she might when she feels safe and comfortable, but definitely when they're facing off against each other, or even when she's talking to the king. Rhaenyra is the same way, is that they just have that steely resolve, and I love that. And of course, I love the moment when they finally, when Viserys and Rhaenyra finally have their talk, and she kind of tells him, like, I know you have to get married, and it's okay. And he kind of says, like, I love your mother, and I miss her, and no one will ever replace her. Like, these are things that both of them needed to say, and she needed to hear, because she even says, I felt like I was grieving alone. And I really loved that moment between them. It was a great show of vulnerability between the two. Now, maybe he should have talked to her before he announced his engagement to her best friend, her future mama. Yeah, I feel like that's something that you'd want to probably talk to your daughter about. I don't really know what to expect. I want more dragons. We got some dragons. It's great. As long as they're sprinkled in there, I'm good. But I'm guessing the latter half of the season there will be dragon fights, because I don't think Daemon or Rhaenyra are never going to have to face off against each other. Just saying. And to hear that there are other dragons that are just out there. Like, go get them. We need you. We need you. Come this way. Okay, guys, the full-length reaction will be available on my Patreon, as well as other full-length reactions to other shows I'm watching currently. Vox Machina, more dragons, but also The Expanse and various movies. But you can go over there and check that out, see if there's something for you. Other than that, guys, remember to like, subscribe, leave me a comment down below. What was your favorite part about this episode? Because let me tell you, dragons at Dragonstone. Woo! Woo! And I'll tell you, Daemon's dragon, Syrax, that is a fine looking dragon. Like that is, like, if you were to handpick a dragon and say which one's the scariest, it's that one. I like him a lot. Okay, guys, I'll see ya.